Have you ever just stared at a page of Japanese text and felt completely overwhelmed? Yeah, me too. But you're in the right place because today we are unlocking a literal hidden pathway to Japanese kanji. Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to look at a highly efficient shortcut, specifically designed for beginners to master Japanese vocabulary. The secret? We're leveraging the phonetic rules of Korean Hanja. I know, it sounds like a linguistic cheat code, and honestly, it kind of is. By understanding the common reading principles shared across these languages, you can absolutely slash your study time.
Okay, let's look at our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover the Japanese kanji challenge, the shared linguistic ancestry, sound rules versus meaning exceptions, a case study looking at the number 6, and finally a smarter kanji strategy for your daily routine.
All right, Section 1, the Japanese kanji challenge, and how we overcome that dreaded beginner's wall.
If you've started learning Japanese, you absolutely know this wall. You master hiragana, you get comfortable with katakana, and then, bam, you hit kanji. Suddenly you're staring at thousands of complex characters, each with multiple readings. It is the #1 reason beginners get crushed by trial and error fatigue. Traditional study methods basically just push you to stare at flashcards until your eyes cross, leaving you feeling totally overwhelmed. But here's the thing. The problem is not your memory. It's just that nobody's shown you the underlying matrix that actually connects all these characters.
And that brings us to a massive, paradigm-shifting realization from the author of our source text. After studying various languages, they realized something really profound about the native mindset. To quote them directly, Japanese people communicate based on kanji. I focused on the relationship between kanji and Japanese. See, to really understand and absorb the language, you can't just treat it like an alphabet. You have to recognize that native communication is fundamentally anchored in these characters. But even more importantly, these characters didn't just appear out of thin air. They have a very deep, structured history.
Which leads us to Section 2, the shared linguistic ancestry between Korea, China, and Japan.
This historical context right here, this is the foundation of our shortcut. Tracing the discovery process outlined in our source, the author realized that kanji's central role wasn't just about drawing lines, it was about shared roots. The real breakthrough was finding patterns connecting Korea, China, and Japan. They historically share what's called the Hanja cultural sphere. Think of it like this. Just as European languages share Latin roots, these East Asian languages share Hanja roots. And that means their pronunciations evolved in incredibly predictable parallel ways.
Moving to Section 3, sound rules versus meaning exceptions. Basically, how to work smarter.
So how do we actually use this ancestry to stop brute forcing our studying? Well, you have to understand the fundamental difference in how kanji are read. Japanese kanji generally have two types of readings, onyomi and kunyomi. Onyomi is the sound reading. Because it was imported directly from the mainland, it has highly predictable phonetic rules that directly mirror Korean Hanja. On the flip side, we have kunyomi, which is the meaning reading. This was natively developed in Japan to attach their own native words to those imported Chinese characters. Because of that, there's absolutely no predictable pattern linking kunyomi to Korean Hanja. So your golden rule as a beginner? Focus your pattern-finding energy strictly on onyomi. If you separate the two in your mind right from the start, you immediately prevent massive trial and error.
Let's see how this works in practice. Section 4, a case study on the number 6 and its phonetic evolution.
Everyday numbers are the perfect place to start finding these phonetic rules. Here's the raw data straight from our source material for the number 6. It's got 4 strokes, an 8th grade level Hanja proficiency, and an 8 radical at the bottom. As a beginner, you probably just look at this and see a random symbol. But let's check out the actual pronunciation data provided to unlock that hidden pathway we've been talking about.
Now, what's really interesting here is the direct phonetic bridge we can see right in front of us. In Korean Hanja, the sound for 6 is read as ryuk or yuk. Now compare that to the Japanese onyomi, which is roku or riku. Do you hear that predictable softening? The hard Korean ryuk translates beautifully into the rolling rhythmic Japanese roku. The R sound remains and the K sound remains at the end. It's a direct, totally predictable phonetic evolution. Once you learn this rule, you don't have to blindly memorize roku anymore. You literally just derive it logically from a sound you already know.
Let's define this clearly. What we're looking at is the Hanja phonetic link. It's the predictable flow from the original Hanja sound, represented in Korean Hangul, translating directly into Japanese onyomi written in hiragana or katakana. Knowing this hidden link drastically lowers the barrier to entry. Honestly, if you're a Korean speaker or anyone familiar with basic Hanja, you literally already possess a massive Japanese vocabulary sitting right there in your subconscious. You just need to apply the phonetic shift, like changing a harsh ending consonant into a softer Japanese vowel ending syllable.
Okay, let's wrap this up with Section 5, a smarter kanji strategy to implement into your daily routine.
It's one thing to understand the theory, but how do we turn this into an actual, actionable daily guide, especially if you're an independent student studying on your own? Here is a highly efficient memorization routine you can start using today. Step 1, identify the basic Hanja meaning and sound. Step 2, apply those onyomi phonetic rules we just talked about. Test out the pronunciation link, just like we did with rik to roku. And finally, Step 3, accept that the kuniomi, the native meaning reading, is not going to fit this pattern and just isolate that for rote memorization. Splitting it up like this prevents so much wasted effort and frustration.
And you can be totally confident in this method because it is heavily backed by linguistic research. As our source points out, there's extensive literature on this exact topic, including cornerstone books like Japanese Words Solved Through Hangul and Reading Japanese Kanji in Our Language. Scholars have literally spent years mapping out exactly how these vowels and consonants shift between the peninsula and the archipelago, so you aren't just guessing, you're applying a proven linguistic science straight to your flashcards.
This approach completely flips the script on learning kanji, doesn't it? It stops being this massive mountain to climb and becomes more like a puzzle to decode. I want to leave you with a quick practice challenge to boost your memorization right now. If the number 6 perfectly follows this phonetic bridge, try applying this rule to the numbers 1, 2, or 3 in your head right now. Think of their basic conscious sounds and logically shift them. What other everyday words do you already know the Japanese pronunciation for without even realizing it? Next time you study, don't just blindly memorize. Hunt for the connection. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy studying.